So the biggest thing is you have to risk your time, you have to risk your reputation, and you have to risk your money. If you're not risking those three things on a large scale, then the reward is going to be small. If you go to a casino and you bet $1 million, what's the reward? It's $1 million. That's a big reward. But if you bet $5, what's the reward? $5. But you're only risking $5. Where if you want to win $1 million, you have to risk $1 million. And so the more you risk, the more the reward is. So the biggest thing is to get over not wanting to risk. Everybody says, well, how can I make money without risk? You can't. You have to mentally get over the fact that, hey, I need to risk this. So that would be my advice from a mental level, is to accept risk. And the more that you can accept risk and accept when you lose that money, when you lose that time, the faster you will become successful.
That's a great answer. And I think that people, I hear from people all the time that'll message me. They say, hey, I have $5,000 saved up. How do I invest it? What stock should I buy? And I always say, slow down. Even if I could tell you the magic stock, you don't have the skills to know how to identify when something changes. You don't have the skills. So first, identify what you want, and then go find the skills that will get you there. And if you don't know what skills are, find somebody that is where you want to go, figure out what they did, and try to follow that blueprint. Because if you follow, everybody's following a blueprint. Most people, like the guy on the ATV tours in Aruba, he's following a blueprint, but it's a minimal risk blueprint. And like you said, you have to take that risk. You have to be willing to, risk it all. But I also think that risk is, especially if you're young, you have time to take L's. You have time to take losses, and anytime you take a loss, you're learning, right? I don't think that a loss is ever a negative thing. You either figure something out that works, or you figure something out that doesn't work, and then you don't make that same mistake again if you're smart. So anyways,
poor people think that hard work and time is what makes them valuable. Rich people understand that risk is what makes them valuable. Right. And that's why poor people will always be poor, because they always try to get rich doing the same thing: hard work, time, grinding. Whereas a rich person knows, hey, I can do all that. But once you introduce risk, the equation changes. And that's what creates massive wealth.
Yeah, amazing. I'm curious, Dan, what kind of student were you in high school and middle school?
Man, I was a terrible student.
Okay.
I would literally, because that's a great question. I was such a terrible example, because what I would do is I would go in and I would pretty much just read the whole book ahead of time, learn everything I needed to learn, and then I would sleep in class the rest of the time. And my teachers would always get on me for sleeping. But then when test time came, I maintained a 4.1 GPA. And so they couldn't really say anything. And it's because, I knew, and maybe this was just a gift I had, but I knew that the way they were teaching it was not good. In most schools in the United States they have the work. I don't want to get bashed by teachers, but they're bad. They're not good. And it's not their fault. They don't have the training. I mean, there are some teachers who are extraordinarily good, but they did not get that training from the educational system. They got that from outside of that, And so most of my teachers were bad at teaching. And so I found that it was better if I just taught myself reading the book. And then when I went to high school, I actually didn't go to high school. I enrolled in this thing called American School, where they mailed your books out, and you would read the books, and then they'd mail you a test. And after, middle school and elementary school, I was so sick of how teachers were trying to teach me. I didn't think it worked. So I went with that, and I finished high school in a year by just reading the books and testing out.